После основательного доклада представителя Кореи мы переходим к австрийскому опыту, о котором расскажет Кристиан Штигліца. Управление отходами, упаковки, основанное на принципах ответственности производителя. Я так понимаю, что производители отвечают за свои отходы, и они должны перерабатывать или там рассказывать об опыте переработки упаковки самими производителями. Правильно? Спасибо.
Шановний пане та пані, дякую вам за запрошення на цей захід у прекрасному місті Київ. Мені дуже приємно сьогодні поговорити з вами на тему управління відходами. На жаль, я не розмовляю українською мовою. Вибачте, але я продовжу англійською. My presentation is about the special segment of waste management, which is packaging waste. And packaging waste management is, as all waste management in the EU, governed by EU environmental laws. This is a framework overview, and I will not go into the detail. You may not be able to read it. But it shows you actually the framework of the EU waste management law. One is an ordinance. This is the green arrow. Ordinance of packaging and packaging waste management. And this is the basis for the European approach towards this specific subject. Why is packaging waste so important that we make a special law on packaging waste, a special policy? Because packaging waste usually comprises more than 20% of municipal solid waste. More than 20%, and it's the type of waste most easy to take out from municipal waste. This is a well-known pyramid. It is the core of European business development, waste management development. It is the waste pyramid. It clearly states that everybody, every government and individual should achieve the best way to deal with waste is no waste, waste prevention. Second best is reuse. Third best is recycling, and disposal in landfills is the least desired. And this is the backbone of the European approach for waste management. Now we come to a special aspect of waste management, and this is the policy of making the producer responsible, the so-called extended producer responsible principle. So what is this? Many people use extended producer responsibility, but what is extended producer responsibility? Producer responsibility, usually, we all know. It is the responsibility of the producer of a car that it drives, as designed, right? It is the responsibility of the producer of a brown beverage called Coca-Cola, for instance, that it is healthy, or at least it is not poisonous. It tastes, as we all know, and then it is packaged in a way that it keeps the Coca-Cola fresh until I drink it, right? This is the responsibility of Coca-Cola. And the extended producer responsibility is this. It does not stop with the consumption of the product. The responsibility of Coca-Cola producer stops when we drink the Coke, right? It's finished. I think it's my responsibility to digest. It's finished. But its extended producer responsibility, it lives on. It means that the company is also responsible for the handling, the responsible handling of the packaging waste. The Coca-Cola bottle. We extend the responsibility of the producer to the waste that its product becomes after its lifespan. And this is the core of many European laws. Extended producer responsibility in packaging. Everybody who puts packaging on the market is responsible for the recovery and the recycling, appropriate recycling of this material. Everybody. Coca-Cola for its bottle, Procter & Gamble for shampoo bottles, others for their cookies and food and whatever. In cars, extended producer responsibility means that the producer of the car must also pay at the end of the life of the car to be recovered and recycled. Producer responsibility for electrical equipment means the same thing. And in many, many European countries you'll find now collection and recycling of electrical equipment as lamps, as what we see. Do I speak? Okay. Very important. So that's extended producer responsibility, and that is what the whole thing is about. The collection and the recycling of packaging material in Europe, European Union, is financed by the producer of these packages. They pay some money to systems, to municipality, to somebody else for recovery and recycling of this money. And that is a very interesting principle, because if I am the producer of a bottle, or if I sell beverages in a bottle to you, and I have to pay also for the recycling of this bottle, what will I do to keep the cost low? I will influence the design of the packaging in order to make it a little bit lighter, less cost. In order to make it easier to recycle, less cost. And therefore the whole idea was also not only financing waste management, but putting some drive into the economy that they minimize their packaging themselves because they want to pay less. Reducing packaging and making it easier to recycle. And the politicians in the European Union are very happy about the following chart. Wait a minute. Where's my chart? Here. This is municipal solid waste generation. The countries that are still developing have an increase. You see this at the blue line at the bottom. The European 12, 15 are more or less flat. And this was a main target of European policy, to decouple the growth of waste from the economic growth. Because it's one of the basic problems that waste grows at least as fast as our economy. And we cannot deal with so much waste. So it's clear that this cannot go on with liquidity. We have to decouple growth of waste from economic growth. And this is the economic growth. So the European politicians are really happy that it seems that they were successful with all these measures to decouple waste growth, to make waste grow slower than the economy. Don't ask me if these statistics are correct. But I tell you, they look good and they are official. But, okay, let's just look at the results. Oops. Let's look at the results of that packaging law, the packaging ordinance in Europe. What happened? They introduced it in 1995. What happened? Now we have 24 systems and 6 other in European Union countries and 6 other systems following this principle of extended producer responsibility. That means packaging, producer, companies who produce packaging in the market pay for recovery and recycling. And there were those actually number in Europe 185,000. Means 185,000 companies like Coca-Cola, like Siemens, like whoever pay for recovery of their packaging. And in the meantime, we were successful to have about 400 million people in the European Union who have access to containers where they can throw in their packaging, throw in their used packaging. You can read that yourself. More than 3.3 million tons of plastic packaging is being recovered and again recycled in Europe. And you see the rest of it already mentioned. How does it look on a country, on a country-by-country level? You see this is in the 27 EU member states. We have the vast majority of countries, we have this principle in place with producer responsibility. Producers pay to a system or more than one system whose task is to recover and recycle packaging to meet targets up to the target set by European unions. There are many approaches to this principle, and some of them are close but do not reach it. You have taxes, but the problem with taxes is taxes never have a steering effect. You pay. And have you ever heard of a tax getting lower? No. But fee costs do get lower, and operating system can really decrease recovery and recycling costs over the years. We have mandatory deposits. An interesting approach, although highly questionable, because a mandatory deposit only covers, for instance, bottles and cans. But what about the rest of them? There is much more packaging waste than bottles, and these deposits only cover the small part of cans and bottles. Nice effects for politicians, but for the economy, for the environment and the economy, it's not so good. It's not so good. And we have a special case with the UK where there is no system as such, but there is also no central legislature. The recovery is actually left in the hands of the waste operator industry through these hearings and recovery nodes. As I said, the rest of the majority of the countries do have with systems, more than one system, or one system responsible for organizing recovery and recycling. This is just, I mentioned this, and I'll not go into more details because we don't have so much time. Mandatory deposit. This is a chart from Eurostar 2010, which is fairly new, but as all statistics in the European Union, a chart from 2010 is the newest one. We have in 2012, and deals with data from 2008. And you have to imagine, you have to always know, if you read information, statistics in the European Union, they're always 3 or 4 years old because it takes such a long time to collect the data from the countries. As you see from this chart, legal expenditure with over almost 80% recovery rate. This is recycling. So the recovery is higher. This is recycling. Recycling means not energy recovery. Energy recovery is not recycling. This is recycling, period. No flame, no heat, recycling. So Belgium is a leader by far, but we have a number of countries that have targets in 2012, 2013, 2014, because they came later and now have longer time to reach these objectives. And as you see, some of them still have a lot of work to do to reach their targets in 2012, 2013, 2014. We can even say that some of them will not be able to do this, and we will see what happens to them. In the future, they have to increase their efforts greatly. How does such a system look like? I would want to say economic data on it. And I have brought you some examples from some countries. And you can read it yourself. In France, the system they have, one system they have more than one, is called eco-emballage. And I try to break down this system revenues on a per capita basis so you can compare it easier. Because of the different systems, the different approaches, there are different per capita costs. And as you can see, there are quite some differences in the cost, revenue per head. Most of the systems also are, companies are non-profit companies. Because they are owned by the state, owned by the industry, they don't aim to earn profit, don't aim to distribute profit to their owners. Their aim is just to organize, recover and recycle at the lowest cost possible to reach their targets. The Austrian system I will talk about in a second is very expensive, 15 euro per capita per year. You know how much 15 euro per capita per year is in other forms? 4 packs of cigarettes. So you look at 15 euros and my God, you know, these Austrians, they pay 15 euro per capita just for the recovery of all this packaging. But imagine it's only 4 packs of cigarettes. For an extremely clean environment for extremely high recycling, which are very high, I say, you know, almost beyond the optimal. But that's the way it goes. So this is the volume that some of these systems have reached, and as you see, as you saw from the chart, they really recover and recycle up to 80%, up to 80% of that. So that's a very high number. What does such a system contribute, for instance, to the economy of the state? And we made an analysis in Austria, and it looks like this way. The added value of the GMP in the years 1994 to 2003, 1,000 million euros GMP is high number. But a very interesting number, in a small Austria, with 8 million people, they created 2,000 new jobs. 2,000 new jobs. That's a lot. With 8 million inhabitants. Compare this to Ukraine. The government got 200 million more taxes, and the waste industry invested just on account of that law, just on account of the law, 130 million euros. Not because there was an investors program and somebody wants to promote investment. Because of the regulations, they say, this is a good business opportunity. We have to get the material. And we invest 130 million in a country with 8 million people. Okay, let me proceed a little bit faster. So we don't have a time over that. And here's some pictures. I always show pictures because it wakes you up and it's not so boring, and I don't have to translate the picture. Many countries have many models. Japan, Spain, Slovenia, very small mountain village, beautiful scenery. What do you see? Packaging waste bin. They like it. Florence, Italy, very sophisticated underground system, a very high fashion, like Florence has a high fashion underground. They don't see any bin. It's all underground. They come in a truck and suck it out, like empty it by sucking pipes. It's really neat. France and Corsica, same principle, but they don't suck it up, they lift it up and empty it. Like you see in the result photo, it lifts up and they take the bin out and it goes away. Buenos Aires. Interesting, but only 3 bins. Okay. That was the European overview. Let me just spend a couple of words on Austria, which is my home country, and I was responsible for building up this system. So since 1993, and it was nothing in 1993, no customers, no bins, and no money, and now we have 170 million euros, and as you see, a whole bunch of bins, and everybody knows circulates like crazy. We teach the children in kindergarten, we teach the children in school, we teach the grown-ups separation, separate collection is important, protects your environment, and they believe it. Okay, it took a long time, 1993. I had black hair then. So for everybody who organizes these systems, watch out, it's dangerous. Okay, Austria, as I said, is very small. It used to be bigger, right? But since World War I, it's very small. It has only 8 million people. And we have about 1.2, 1.3 million tons of packaging waste. This is a very interesting chart. This is for the waste designers, for the waste politicians. This is actually the realization of the European dream. No joke. You look at this little thing here on the top right corner, but it says right there 3.7%. That is landfill material. There's no more landfill in Austria. What's landfill is inert material coming out at the end of a long, long, long process. Coming out of the last step, which is the incinerator with energy recovery. There's very, very small part of this inert stuff, and that is landfill. No organics, nothing. And you can see what's done with the waste. 18% bio-waste, with treatment, gas and so on. 32 separate collection and recycling. Mechanical biological treatment, which ends up at the end in composting, recycling, and incineration anyway. And that's the untreated waste. So that's just another excursion, but I always show it. This is the ARA system. ARA system is financed by the obliged, fillers, packers, everybody who puts packaging on the Austrian market, and it pays municipalities, it pays recycling companies, it pays waste operators, it sells the material, and with all this, they finance this process. So just an overview of what actually this system is operating, and they're not owning anything. They just finance the workings. They don't go into investment. Investment is done by the waste operator. He builds a sorting station. Upon a tender from the other system, upon material available through the separate collection. They don't need any special local, they just need material, and they get the material. And so on and so on. It's trucks, it's composting stations, and energy recovery. So, such a system has to have quite a network, and you see just an example of the network. ARA has practically, by necessity, contracts with every municipality, giving them money and contribution to finance their separate collection, to educate their people. They have contracts with every waste operator who is of reasonable size, because they have to pick up the bit. They have to invest in the bit and bring the material to the recycler. Also with the recyclers. For each material, we have different recyclers. Some of them have more than one, some of them just one. That is a network slowly built up. Everybody gets its share. Everybody gets it through open tenders, open regulatory tenders. No secret thing, nothing. It's open, everybody can participate. It's controlled by authority. Everybody can see it. So it's the whole system, the whole market is open. And again, pictures. This is a lightweight collection focused on bottles, on plastic bottles. This is an example with a bag and with this little thing that I've seen here also to a large extent. So it's very similar already. Just some numbers. Total recovery was 780,000 tons of packaging per year, with more than 2 million bins. So it's an incredible number. 8 million Austrians, 2 million bins. It's almost every third person has been. It's awful. Awful. It's really almost bad for the environment because you see too many bins. You're reminded of waste all the time. You come to Vienna, every second corner you see these things. Terrible. But the waste operators like it, and people like it too. Because by law, the minimum distance from The waste from me as a consumer to the waste bin is the distance from me to the supermarket where I buy it. It's regulated. It says, okay, what's the density? Density is you have to reach the next bin as easy as you have to reach the next supermarket. Okay, it's average, but this is a good, you see all the numbers there of collected materials. Paper is very large, of course it's also printing paper, it's 340,000 tons, and I say the small country is quite considerable. This is the growth, we have a 30% growth of material, which is great for recyclers, which is great for waste operators, they get the material. And we need it also to get the targets. Everybody talks about CO2 saving. We've made a lot of calculations together with other European systems, and they all come up with, it's apparently a one-to-one relation. We have 700,000 tons recovered, and it's apparent also about 700,000 tons of CO2 reduction obtained. So it's some theoretical considerations say more, some say less, but I mean it's a very shifty calculation anyways, but it's roughly the equivalent. So you can say if you do packaging recovery, you save CO2 automatically in the same extent as you create separated material. So you saw this from the other side. This is the Austrian ranking in total recovery rate, so in recovery we're pretty far up, and among the first three as before. Separate collection needs two things. It needs the facilities, means some recycling drop-offs, whatever. But also it needs people, because it must motivate us, the consumer, to separate, to take the additional effort, not drop it like this, but walk this different distance to the next collection bin, right? If we as a consumer don't do it, a totally useless system. We have 2 million bins and nobody uses them. So the core thing is not only the facilities, but the education of the people. And the education can only work in the way that we say, okay, this is the environment we live in, and we have the responsibility, each and every one. So therefore we start from the children and work our way up. And have to educate and motivate. Why? And educate how. But we have to motivate, no other way, no motivation, it only works through motivation. Then you get all the people. But if they are motivated and if they don't have any bins, that also doesn't work. So I think we're about at the end. This is the communication campaign, just one of the communication campaigns in Vienna on the streetcars. Very popular, everybody likes it, all bunch of things. City of Vienna is very much into it. If you ever come to Vienna, Austria, I'll be happy to show you how it really works. Thank you very much.
Прошу вопрос специалистов. Такой вопрос. Изучали ли вы систему, которая сейчас сложилась в Украине, и как бы вы порекомендовали ее изменить?
As you correctly say, it is a system. It's not a single one like financing, how to get the money, like recycling, like collection. It's a system. It has to be integrated. Somebody has to make a capital plan, a design. Where do we want to be in 1 year, 5 years, 6 years? How much population do we want to cover? What's the general idea? And then if we have this, we set the local targets and then we see where we get the money. And these steps, I think, should be taken in Ukraine. And we need external financing, that's clear. And the question is, okay, what do I want to finance? How the system should look like? And I've seen a lot of interesting things here. I've seen some of the collection things. I've seen some of the results of separate collection. I also see that maybe there is not yet the industry ready to take their share. Or maybe the invitation wasn't strong enough.
Vielen Dank.
Bitte sehr. Пожалуйста.
У меня есть вопрос к вам еще немного Екатерина, 2 минуты буквально. Вот вы сказали, что у вас после введения законодательства начался бурный рост предприятий по сбору, сортировке и утилизации отходов. Как вы считаете, Украине необходим закон об обращении об отходах второй упаковки? Такое законодательство у нас было разработано, но оно не принято. Но повлиять каким-то образом на рост количества предприятий, которые занимаются этой сферой. Сейчас компания «Экоресурсы», она начала, собственно, какую-то пропаганду и предлагать даже в лизинг оборудование. Но я думаю, это недостаточно. Может быть, с введением закона производители начнут активнее заниматься этой сферой. Та же Coca-Cola, та же компания, которые входят, там, крупные предприятия, которые входят в УП.
Okay. I know of no case in Europe where people pay voluntarily. There is always some structured legislation necessary, and it has to ensure that there is a level playing field in industry. That means everybody pays. Nobody left out. There's no competitive advantage for somebody paying or not. This has to be regulated by law. But I can assure you, to my experience, the multinational companies are ready, also in Ukraine, to carry their share if they see a stable, functional legislation, and also if they see that the playing field is level, that not only the international brewery has to pay, but also local brewery pays. And of course, there is resistance, but because if they tell me you have to pay 5 million a year, I say no. But that happened in every country. As soon as there was legislation, they all turned around and said, okay, we take up our responsibility. And that's the important thing, not structure. We're now, I think, in Ukraine at a level where this thing is being formulated, where this thing is being discussed, and there are forces pulling this way and forces pulling that way, and of course, the industry is always reluctant to pay a lot of money. But if they see that things are going right, I don't think it would make so much of a difference who says what or who is in what. If they see there is some good development, I'm sure they accept it as well as their work, as they did in every country in Europe. And I also, in personal opinion, it doesn't make sense in the starting phase, when you have to establish infrastructure, to have 3 or 4 or 5 agencies do the same thing. If we all started to build railways with 5 companies, we would never have a railway system that fits, right? So in the design phase of building, I think you have to join forces and find a system that is suitable for everybody, and then I'm also sure that all the concerned are okay.
Спасибо большое. Есть еще один вопрос.
Дякую. Маленькі коротенькі питання. Відсоток спалювання сміття в
I didn't get the first part of it.
What is the share of the incineration of the environment in Austria?
We don't combust. It's called energy recovery. We don't do combustion. Yeah. You saw this in my chart. It's about 20% or 50%. Vienna, for instance, has a total energy recovery system, and municipal solid waste trucks, collection trucks from Vienna, do not go into any sorting. They go directly into the energy recovery incineration tank. But they take out 25% in separate collection of packaging, first. And they take out about 50% in bio-waste first. So, total municipal waste, separate collected is bio-waste, separate collected is packaging waste, but the rest is directly into incineration and energy in the end. And that's about 50% of the rest. But a totally integrated system.
Хто фінансує інформаційну кампанію про те, щоб сортувати сміття, відповідально ставитись до нього? Тобто це фінансується конкретною корпорацією, яка займається цим питанням? Чи це фінансується частково з бюджету або громадськими якимись структурами?
So the question was, who is financing the campaign?
These things on? Yes.
The question was, who is financing the campaign, the information campaign, the population? Is that funded from the organizations, from the government, or from the...
No, this is, in this system, this is always funded directly through the payers. The companies who put the packaging on the market. They pay, and actually what they do, they pay a fee which is calculated, taking into account the costs of recovery and related to the amount they put on the market. Right? So we have, for instance, in Austria they have a fee for packaging material which is 20 cents or something per kilo, and they put 1,000 kilo on the market, and so they pay 1,000 times the fee for paper to the system. And the system finances this. Separate collection, bins, depreciation, services from waste operators, so on. And then also communication. But the communication is done through various channels of communication. But the financing is done by the system. The channels are really simple channels, newspaper, television, the basic communication channels. But basically it's all financed by the packaging producer, by the company that package. Of course, they will not just pay. I mean, the calculation of the fee is transparent. If somebody wants to know why do we pay so much, you can say, look, this is what we use. This is what we use the money for. Communication is quite a large part. Communication is quite costly. About 5 million euros per year.
Спасибо господину Штиглеру за хороший доклад. Я думаю, что те специалисты, которые заинтересовались системой раздельного сбора, могут задать вопросы отдельно уже в приватном беседе. Спасибо большое. Частным планом